back to Get Sharp. Joe Fortenbaugh here from the National Football Post. We're at the M Resort Casino and Spa in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I'm joined today by two-time, the only man in history, back-to-back Las Vegas Hilton SUPERCONTEST winner, Steve Fezzik. Steve?
And you know how you do that? You win a lot of coin flips. Just like a poker tournament.
I can't complain with that. Steve also runs a great message board service, lvasportsboards.com. You'll be able to find all that information contained within the article. Fezzik's here today to discuss NFL team totals. That's the topic. We're going to see if there's any value left with 2 days until kickoff for first week 1 Sunday of this season. Excuse me. So, at the end of July, the MGM was the first to put out this year's team totals. When you took a look at those when they came out, what jumped off the board at you at first?
Oh, the first thing that jumped off the board is how incompetent I was, because I was actually at the MGM the day they came out. I walked up and I said, "Are the team totals out yet?" And they said, "Well, we expect them to come out tomorrow." I went home, checking out Twitter, which is way better than Facebook for this sort of thing.
Absolutely.
Boom, MGM totals are out, and I'm like, oh gosh. And so they had the Bears at 9.5, the Bengals at 7.5. You know, forget about the laundry, forget about well, don't forget about the baby, but you know, rush down to an MGM property, and by then they're already moving, obviously. And so still got a piece of some of those at worse numbers, but they clearly, you know, dealt some opinions that most of the people who would specialize on this knew, you know, wouldn't be correct. Yes.
The Bengals actually came down quite a bit, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you know, great story with the Bengals, because we're here at the M Casino, one of my favorite casinos in Las Vegas, and they were about to put the Bengals at 6.5, and they got a text, "Hey, MGM just opened it at 7.5." But they didn't get the subsequent text, but now they've moved it to 6.5, so they opened it up at 7, and between you and me, the M is furious at the MGM, because they copied that number. Well, they took it into consideration. They said, well, if the MGM is 7.5, we don't have to put it at 6.5, we'll put it at 7, and then they got hammered with under 7 bets, and they're like, thanks MGM for putting up that number. The ripple effect of a bad number that goes into other sports books.
Let's talk about the Cleveland Browns. You and I had some emails going back and forth this week as we were setting up this interview. Cleveland Browns are at 6.5 right now. Do you see value in one of those sides? Which one is it?
Yeah, I really like the over on the Cleveland Browns. A bad team, the Browns, but the scheduling dynamics are off the charts good for them. They had one of the most difficult schedules in the NFL last year. This year they have, I've got them projected to be almost the easiest schedule, if not the easiest schedule. And of course, this isn't just based upon last year's team records and this year's, and the team records last year projected for this year. This is based on power ratings, some intangibles that rate completely in Cleveland's favor. The fall of the AFC South. They're playing the AFC South, normally a very tough division. They get Indianapolis week 2. What a gift! That was almost a sure loss at Indianapolis. Now it's pick 'em. No Peyton, almost for certain. Who knows how long he'll be out? And now Garrard's out. So Jacksonville's power rating just took a hit. So they're in great shape being able to play those games. Also, Baltimore and Pittsburgh don't play them until December. They have 5 games in December. The 4 tough divisional games, 1 game at Arizona. Sure, they're going to have difficulty winning more than one of those, but in their first 11 games, they're going to be favored, by my numbers, in 9 of those 11 games potentially. 6.5 win teams don't get favored in 9 of the first 11 without going over. So I like Colt McCoy as a quarterback. I love the fact that Texas just fell off the face of the earth without him. That's a great indicator that here we've got a quarterback that really, more than likely, was worth more than people expected. And they get to open up against a dysfunctional Cincinnati team. They get to go to Indianapolis for a pick-em game. Before we blink, they might be in first place in that division.
That would be something else. The Detroit Lions moving to the NFC. This is a team a lot of people think this year could be a dark horse candidate to make it into the playoffs. Jim Schwartz, since he's gotten there, this team has continued to get better each year. They've made some upgrades on defense at the linebacker position. Matthew Stafford's coming back healthy. They came out at 7.5. Which side do you think is the right one to be on there? Because there's people that think, hey, Detroit's on the rise, and then there's people that look at that schedule and realize they've got some tough matchups.
Yeah, you know, I've got my numbers here on every single NFL team, so I got to go ahead and take a quick peek here at Detroit to see. Right now, their season win number went as low as 7.5. It's up to like 8.25, meaning it's over 8, lay $1.30, or over 7.5, lay $1.80, which is crazy. So like the train has pretty much left the station on Detroit. If you wanted them over, you really should have played them earlier in the year. As far as their strength of schedule, I got them just slightly more difficult than average, almost an average schedule. But the thing about Detroit, and this is the life of a pro during the summer, 110-degree heat. Hopefully you're doing most of it inside. What happens with Detroit? They open 7.5. Everyone loves it. Everyone's going to bet the over. Nick Fairley in a boot. The second-round pick from Illinois looks like he's a big upgrade. Out for the year. Achilles. All of a sudden, same old Lions. Everything goes wrong. It's always this hype. They always go undefeated in preseason. They always stink. So you had your window of opportunity. The season win it was going up. It crashes back to 7.5. That was the time to take the Lions over 7.5. And then the big gets a little bit more, minus 120, minus 130. Week 3, NFL preseason, they annihilate the Patriots. And Belichick, even preseason, hates to lose. At that point, the light bulb has to go on. I have a few hours to get my butt out and bet Detroit over 7.5, lay $1.30. If I don't do it, because it's an obvious bet, everyone is going to play it at that point. Same thing, Detroit +3 against Tampa Bay. You have to make those bets in a small window of time. By the next day, you're playing over 7.5, lay 60, or you're taking Detroit +2. No good. Have to get the better numbers, just like the stock market. Companies rise and they fall. Teams rise and they fall amongst the speculators.
It's a matter of time.
It's too expensive right now for Detroit, although I do think Detroit's going to be pretty darn good. Boy, the point heat index is 95 in Tampa. I have no doubt that Detroit is a slightly better team than Tampa. It's a bad spot for them.
The San Diego Chargers last year go 9-7, a disappointment, but Phillip Rivers throws for over 4,000 yards in a sensational year without Vincent Jackson most of the season, with Malcolm Floyd battling a hamstring. Everyone's coming back healthy. This is a San Diego team that always gets a lot of hype, but for some reason or another, they always tend to fall a bit short. Where do you see them ending up this year?
Falling a bit short, but certainly being a tremendous contender. #1 offense, #1 defense. Hey, it's true. If they go to Kansas City and they get caught in a driving rainstorm week 1 and they turn the ball over like crazy,
or games like that,
or they go to Seattle and they get 8 kicks returned against them for touchdowns, I exaggerate slightly. Their special teams were in disarray. Hey, guess what? They get to kick off 5 yards further forward, so there's a lot fewer kick returns right there. This team's loaded on both sides of the ball. Their division is so weak. My numbers are so strong. Over 9.5 was just so obvious. Here's an 11-5 type of team last year, projected to get better, but everyone looked at their overall win-loss of only 9-7, and because of that, they opened the season win number at 9.5, which was ludicrous. Now they bet it over 10, over 10.5. It's at 11. At 11, the division's so weak. Who wants that? They could be 11-4, and they rest everybody, and you get a push.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, last question. We're 2 days from Sunday, the first week of the NFL. These lines have been bet into left and right. At this point, when you look at the board, you see anything that still stands out as a good value to you?
Well, I see some specific props that I'll get into, maybe later on when I really do my homework. But I would really say we've had 3 months. Everyone has banged into these numbers. These are the sharpest numbers that you will ever see. So because of that, what you want to do is to go ahead and, I would say, fade the irrational exuberance or steam on these numbers. Nothing is going to change. So I would recommend an 8 of clubs method. This is after a friend of mine goes by the 8 of clubs, the most inconspicuous card in the deck. He likes to keep a low profile. Write down all the sides and totals on every single NFL game. Lock it into a desk drawer. Don't touch it. Come back 20 minutes before kickoff. Open it up. Take a look at what the numbers were, what they have become. Fade the biggest line. Will go the other way. That's simple.
Steve Fezzik from LVA Sports Boards. Also, you can check him out on Twitter. We'll have all that information within the article and in the video. Steve, thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it. Good luck this weekend, everybody.